everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they truly hold up. Today, I'm faced off with Kyle on the Kirkland Signature Series hotline. Kyle, it's just me and you, buddy. Andrew's still serving his suspension, and we can't go into details still for the reason for that suspension due to FBI investigation.
Also, there's an active Air Force investigation into it as well, and that's all we can say about it at this time.
Do you have anything you want to say to Andrew? Because you know he's listening.
I mean, just for him to attack the way that he did, and it's just mind-boggling to me that all this could happen in a petting zoo. What are you going to do it's a quinceañera, you know?
Yeah.
Lots of things can happen. It's a wild time. So.
Especially like with Andrew, this is not his first offense with this too. Like, you
No.
think at some point he would learn his lesson.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just kind of why Chase and I are upset with him. Is just this is kind of it's not the first time we've been down this road with him. So everybody in our viewership that's listening right now, just know that it's Andrew's struggle. People have addictions. Andrew is a serial offender. So. Yeah. As to what he offends, we're not allowed to discuss.
No, not at all. And we're under strict orders. But you know what doesn't offend us, Kyle?
Chase, Kirkland's signature doesn't offend us.
That's right. Kirkland's signature out there doing what's best for America. We will always have Kirkland. They will be there right with you. They are the voice of reasoning. They'll never serve a suspension or do anything that the FBI will track them down for because Kirkland is America. Do you want to add anything to the Kirkland love that I'm passing off to you?
Only just to say Kirkland Signature Products is the only thing my household uses when it comes to food, quality ingredients, clothes, literally everything we use is a Kirkland Signature product. And it is a lesser known fact that Kirkland Signature Products and also Costco is a financier of what we do here. It's how we were able to quit our day jobs and do what we love to do most here, which is speak for other people and other companies and what they love. So we were just having a wonderful conversation with Kirkland Signature Products, a lead design manager and marketing manager, and their PR about how they think that their products directly contribute to anti-terrorism across the globe. So really want to appreciate the patriots over at Kirkland Signature Products.
Yes, and they're building us a new studio, too, in Kirkland, Washington. Yes. So we will be relocating the entire show to a good 30,000 square foot studio. It's going to be the grandest stage of podcasting that could ever be built. It's us. It is what Hold Up is, and that's what Kirkland is. Kirkland is Hold Up, and Hold Up is Kirkland, and that is a statement I can make and be 100% backed by the Kirkland CEO and company worldwide.
Worldwide.
But Kyle, I got another question for you. As you may know, we watched Face Off, which, boy, we got a lot to talk about today. But before we dive into that, I gotta know, can you tell me about your energy levels using criminal mastermind terms?
Yeah, this is it's one of those kind of days where I'm definitely feeling like a serial murderer's victim who's now turned into the killer. The tables have been flipped, and I am losing my sense of self and humanity because I've lived in the killer's world for so long now that I haven't been able to really see past that into my old life. And I'm becoming the serial killer now. And I'm about to deglove somebody's flesh from their lower leg.
So pretty decent day. Not too bad.
Oh, it's not too bad.
Yeah, you're on top of things is what it sounds like. It sounds like that you have a plan for your own life. And that's what I love. Even though you're taking the life of others.
Thank you.
I really love where you're at. I love that energy. And I hope that maintains for you. But as we mentioned, we watched Face Off, which alludes to the criminal mastermind. I'm going to start with you, man. What do you remember about this movie as a kid? I mean, this was what, 97?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one that I caught in like the 2000s when it was on television release and they were running it on TNT or USA or whatever, and obviously a very heavily edited movie. And this is
Yeah.
one of the first examples that I had of them, of actors. You could tell they were saying something different than what the words were coming out of their mouth. So whenever they'd say fuck or shit, it'd be like break, shoot. But like they were clearly saying the other word. And I thought that was cute. But definitely an action movie that I caught bits and pieces of. As a kid, it was flashy, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand the deeper parts of it. There are some deeper parts to this movie.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a very nuanced and complex kind of evaluation we do of this movie. But overall, I mean, it's a pretty nostalgic movie in terms of like, I remember watching this in the summer coming home from like a soccer game and catching bits and pieces of it in between like watching Cartoon Network.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the same thing you did. This was a popular movie in our household. I remember my cousins, they would come visit us occasionally, like usually for holidays or something. And I think they were in town when this movie was like on VHS or something. And then my brother and my cousin renting it from Blockbuster and watching it in my grandparents' basement. I remember catching it then, like some of the uncensored clips. I wasn't necessarily tuned in because I was like 7 at the time, but I caught like a little bit of it, and I thought it was like a cool movie, and I could like understand that with them watching it when they're in their teens, that it was just a very stylized, cool kind of, it's a dude's flick is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to talk about a little bit. I mean, because that's the hint of my nostalgia is just remembering it and remembering people talking about it because it is absurd. This before we
Quite
even get
absurd.
into it, this is an absurd movie. It has an absurd, over the top plot. It is directed by John Woo, but the main thing I want to get into that's the big nostalgia run right here is this was at peak Nicolas Cage action star era right
Mm-hmm.
here. This was pre National Treasure, but what we had this movie, Gone in 60 Seconds, and The Rock, and I think that was all in the same like
Mm-hmm.
2 year span. So Nicolas Cage was the
Yes.
next big action star, and I kind of remember people being like, I don't know why, because he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger, he is not Sylvester Stallone, he doesn't have this like overwhelming physique. He's kind of like an everyday man. I don't think he's incredibly handsome or anything. He's kind of like balding in this late 90s and
Mm-hmm.
has this kind of weird kind of facial expression. I mean, he is an over-the-top actor. We all know that about Nicolas Cage. But what do you remember about Nicolas Cage in the 90s and seeing some of those movies?
Just kind of that same thing was like he was easy to relate to because he wasn't like a Tom Cruise or like a Hugh Jackman or Val Kilmer. He wasn't one of those guys with a chiseled jaw and just like, I mean he has a nice jawline, but like very everyman. Less everyman than Bruce Willis, but more everyman than those other actors I just named. So I could like see him as like, oh, what a relatable guy kind of thing.
Yeah.
But aside from that, like not a whole lot else.
Yeah. And yeah, he's kind of not, I don't think he's cool. Like Bruce Willis is cool. Bruce Willis is the average everyday man that's cool. But Nicolas Cage is just the everyday average man. That's it, like somebody who just left their desk job and got caught up in an action sequence is where we put Nicolas Cage. And I don't think he gets like, people go back and forth on if they think he's a good actor or not. And you're an actor, and you're
He
a
is.
very talented actor. How do you feel about Nick Cage's acting style?
As it depends on the movie. And that kind of goes to my point that he is a good actor. Like I'm not gonna entertain the conversation of Nick Cage not being a good actor because there are plenty of people that get to where they are. Kate Hudson, who are just absolutely terrible Ice Cube actors who got to that point because they knew somebody or their parents had money. Like there's so many people that don't need to be actors. Nick Cage, I mean, the number like Raising Arizona, great movie.
Probably his best. Raising Arizona is a phenomenal film and
It's
crazy
amazing.
good.
His emotional range, while people laugh at that, and it is laughable. I'm not going to sit here and also on the same side say that all of his movies are well acted. Like he has some pretty shit movies, but like you have to think something that we've talked about on this podcast before this is something Bryan Cranston has said, and something I remembered in college, is like, you can only act a letter grade above the script you're given. And a lot of scripts that Nick Cage had were fucking shit. This is one that's terrible.
Yeah.
This is not a good script. But he brings something, an element to it, and he is acting a letter grade above the script and bringing out a lot of nuance that is not necessarily there, to the point where it's like you believe him
Yeah.
and it makes it believable. And I'm just not going to be one of those people that's going to entertain, like, if somebody were to be on this podcast with us saying he's a bad actor, we would just have to part ways with him as a guest, because it's just not true. Like, there's nothing, just like his emotional range from Raising Arizona to fucking like Spider Legs or Daddy Long Legs. Like,
Long
be
legs.
so for real with me right now. Yeah, Long Legs. Like, that's what we're talking about. There's going to be bad performances in between. Lots of actors have bad performances, but we're not going to sit here and act like all of his performances are bad.
Yeah, and I think a lot of his bad performances just come from where he went bankrupt for that time period, and he just had to take whatever he can get, and he was washed as an actor at that point. So he was taking movies that had bad everything, and no one's saving those films.
No.
And I think he's in a renaissance now, too. I mean, I know he's in a renaissance after Mandy, which was a great performance, and a really solid horror film that just kind of, I think people just kind of understand that Nick Cage is a little insane, and the best thing to do with Nick Cage is let him be insane on film, and that kind of gets you kind of where you want to go. And they kind of started writing characters for him, like Long Legs. I'm not a big fan of the film itself, but he does put in a great performance in Long Legs, and it is a character that they wrote for him, and they let him be himself, and that's kind of the best results you get with Nick Cage. He loves film and he loves acting, and he is quite knowledgeable on like on Shakespeare and all that, and he tries to incorporate that kind of operatic acting into
physical theatrical acting.
Yes, and he's in love with acting, so that's also admirable. Now we got to talk about the flip side of things too. We got to talk about his partner in crime in this film, because it's John Travolta. These two really, even now looking at this movie that's been around for so long, it's hard to look at this movie and say that this isn't the oddest pairing of two action stars.
Very strange, very different backgrounds. But one of the pros of this movie, I would say, because they both have to, it's quite an interesting acting challenge, because as an audience, we're sold, and that's how we know that this movie does a good job at something, at least. We are sold on the fact that we believe that the other person is the other person, for lack of a better term. And they do a good job of acting that out and finding some mannerisms or some characteristics, to the point where it's like, yeah, they're not going to have the same facial expressions because they have a different fucking face on. But I believe it when I'm watching them. Like, it's believable. But having said that, of the two, John Travolta is the weaker actor, in my opinion, by far and away, and is one of the detractors of this movie, in my opinion.
And I think it's just because he's in a film that's not necessarily suited for his style. You know, I think he's still a good actor. Like we've said before, some actors just never get outside of, like, I mean, you're not going to put, Bruce Willis has been in dramatic roles before, but he just does so much better in that action role. It's just like, it's okay. You know, sometimes you're just built for one thing. And that's kind of what John Travolta is. I mean, he does good with the dancing and the dramatic, romantic kind of comedies and stuff. Like, he's really good in those. And I've never seen John Travolta as a good action star. I mean, they did that remake of The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I don't know if you ever saw
where he
that.
plays a terrorist, and didn't have an interest and didn't give a shit.
Yeah, it was a remake that didn't need to be remade, because that was a very low-end 70s kind of movie. But, like, to redo that with John Travolta is just a weird thing. And so now we get this pairing, and we got to talk about the director, John Woo. How much did you know about John Woo at the time versus how much do you know about John Woo now?
Nothing. No, when I was a kid, nothing. Didn't really have an understanding of directors when I was that age. Now I know he is the director behind the worst of the Mission Impossibles. And I know I've seen other movies of his, but I don't really know a lot of them. All I know is that I probably wouldn't like most of them, because they're just really over the top, hard to follow. And I don't think it's a secret that I'm quite a big fan of making something at least realistic enough to follow along. Like this could happen in real life, depending on the genre that we're looking at. And this is a movie that does not plan itself in one genre or another. And it's very frustrating as an audience member to know that. And John Woo does not do a very good job of steering you in the right direction to know, is this fantastical? Is this sci-fi? Is because there's an element of a little bit of everything in this, and it's just very hard to follow along. It's to be quite honest, very frustrating as an audience member to watch this movie. So didn't not a fan now.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And it's not for American audiences either. Like John Woo, for a little background, I mean, we're not going to go into this whole history with John Woo, but he directed martial arts movies in Hong Kong. Face Off is his first film in the United States, or making a film fully in the United States. He used his film style that made him popular in Hong Kong. He's got staples. It's dual-wielding pistols. There's always someone in slow motion. There is doves in every film he's in.
Every film, there's always a dove.
And I know he did Mission Impossible 2, which came out roughly, I think, a couple years after this one.
Yeah, it was like 2000, I think.
Yeah,
2000.
And I think that's the worst Mission Impossible.
It's terrible.
It's not good.
It's one of the worst movies that's been made ever, and like it's just very, very bad. You don't need to watch that, folks.
No, and maybe one day we'll get to it down the road just for funsies.
No, we won't. We're not going to do that.
I'm a big Mission Impossible apologist. I really think they're great films.
I love Mission Impossible.
So, and that to me, that one was the weakest one, but it's very similar to Face Off. It's just like he has his staples. And in this movie, some of them comes out, which we'll get to in the blow by blow. We'll talk about some of these like stylistic choices he makes, and he does put a lot of emphasis on the metaphors around what he puts in these films. And I think that because they're all over the place, sometimes they're lost. And I love a good metaphor and I love stylized acting, but sometimes you don't need so much style to create a masterpiece, which leads me to my next point. Do you want to guess the budget for this film?
Oh, lots of locations, lots of explosives, lots of guns, big name actors. This was made in 97. Conservative guess, around 150 million.
Okay. You're well off, but I would have guessed I would have guessed the same thing though, honestly. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you're not wrong, but you are incredibly wrong. So this movie had a budget of $80 million. Can you that's hard to come by, right? Because there's no CGI in this, or at least very minimal CGI. This is all practical effects. And as much as we were shitting on John Woo, some of these set pieces and some of these explosions and shit that they have in this movie is insane. And we'll get to the ending scene, which is just absolutely bonkers that they did all that in camera. But yeah, $80 million. Do you think it made its money?
I do.
So you would be right. It made worldwide $245 million.
Damn, smash hit.
So smash hit. I think that a lot of that comes from John Woo's directorial debut in the U.S. I think that led the way. And then, like we said, Nicolas Cage was a big star at the time. And you got John Travolta making his comeback. So those three things probably led a lot of people to go to the box office. This movie was critically praised, too.
Terrible.
Yeah, the critics really love this film. Audiences went and saw it. It made a lot of money. Thank God they didn't do a sequel, at least a sequel that I don't know about. You can already hear some of Kyle's feelings coming out a little early in this one. We're going to dive right in. We're going to find out if it holds up or not, because what we say here is the definitive truth. You come here if you want to know if a movie's good or not, or if you should see it.
You come here to get God's truth.
God blessed us with this podcast so we can give the divine voice to you guys, and that's what we're doing today. So Kyle,
and no way blasphemous.
No way blasphemous at all. We speak the truth, and the truth speaks to you. Kyle, where does this movie start, and how does it begin?
Starts in a fucking carousel with some stupid sepia filtered bullshit, and John Travolta's on the carousel with his, or on the the little, it's carousel, right? I'm getting that right? It's a carousel.
Yeah, it's a carousel. Yeah, John Travolta with his, you're assuming his son, right?
Son, yeah, you're assuming his son, but I don't know. The way that guy interacts with children just kind of rubs me the fucking wrong way. But whatever.
It's
I'm down
and,
there. And
and
then,
I want to start right here, Kyle. You brought it up, but like the sepia filter too, to just show that it's a fucking flashback, pissed me off. It
yeah,
instantly
it
pissed me
already
off.
started me off on the wrong foot. I was like, so I don't get to see any color? Okay, that's great. I'm really glad. I already would have known this is a flashback. All you had to do was say 5 years later or whatever, which they do. So fuck off. Already pissed off.
Yes, it's just like you don't need to beat me over the head with this as a flashback. You can tell that story some other way. Like, and you didn't really even have to
Mm-hmm.
do that. And it's hard to see. It's very grainy and it looks terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It looks
It
like
was
someone's
awful.
like homemade film. So I hated that choice. But again, John Woo's overstylized. Another thing about this movie, we're gonna mention it over and over again. We might as well go ahead and start now. 75% of this scene is in slow motion.
Yeah, and a lot of the scenes are in slow motion, and
John,
some of it works for us, some of them they really don't, and this
yeah.
is one that
Well,
does
he
not.
he overuses it in my opinion. And I kid you not, everybody. This movie's about what? 2 hours and 15 minutes, maybe.
Yes,
It could have been
pretty
an
long,
hour 45 if you just cut everything in
easily.
the slow motion. Like that's
This
how
movie
much
could be
slow motion.
separated into three different short films that would have each on their own done pretty well.
Slow motion is overused to hell and back in this movie. I mean, people are turning their heads to look at another character and he puts it in slow motion. There is just no
Mm-hmm.
need for that. So when you do get the cool shots later down the road in slow motion, you don't give a shit. You don't care. It doesn't hit because you've seen it a million times. But anyway, John Travolta, his son's on the carousel. We see Nicolas Cage over in the corner pulling out a sniper rifle from God knows how long. I don't think they even really show or
No,
correlate
I
the
don't think they
distance.
show.
But
No,
it's
who
kind of
knows?
it's kind of green area with no trees, so someone should have been able to spot him. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just kind of like we're just kind of thrust upon this scene, and then you're left to use your imagination. But it's not a fun way to use your imagination. It's kind of like what the fuck is going on right now? What am I watching? And that's just how you start the movie. So it starts the movie. Nicolas Cage waits till he can know how. It's such a dumb fucking thing because he waits until the carousel is turned so that because John Travolta is holding his kid facing him on one of the horses, and it turns so then all you can see in the sniper side is just John Travolta's back. He shoots a sniper rifle. I couldn't tell which one it was, Chase, but it's probably a 30-06 or something that like bigger than that. And he shoots him in the middle of the fucking back. Okay, he falls down, kid falls down, and you see John Travolta crying because obviously his child is dead, like headshot. But then how is he moving? Because it looks like it hit him in the fucking spine. So like I'm already confused as to like what I guess he just got shot in the back. Cool, that's that. Whatever. Okay. So then we flash forward, Chase. It's what, like how many years later or months later, whatever the fuck it is.
It's what 2 or 3 years. I don't know. I didn't. I
Yeah,
can't. I
I don't
can't
know,
quite remember.
dude.
But it was like,
It was some amount of time past that he could have recovered from his wound, but not from the emotional wound of losing his son.
yeah.
There you go.
And also like at the beginning of this, Nick Cage has a mustache for some odd
Yeah,
reason. Do you remember that? Did you? I made a note of that because
yeah, it's just kind of weird.
you don't see it again. That's it.
No,
It's for
I guess
whatever.
it's just to show like he was a different person back then than he is now.
Yeah,
Wolfie fucking
I
frick.
guess, but he's still a prick and an asshole. Like I don't. It made no sense. Like I don't know. And you can kind of see when he shoots his son that he feels a little bad. So I'm like, oh, he's gonna have a heart. No, they don't even play on that at all ever.
Not at all. No.
So yeah, and also like even just I'm sorry we're lingering on this scene, but he misses the shot and on a carousel.
Yeah,
You,
but like purposefully waits to miss the shot. That's the thing that gets me though, Chase, is like he purposefully waits to miss the shot. So he's just choosing to be bad at his job? Well, am I wrong?
yeah, I was like, why didn't you shoot him in the head?
Yeah, for real. Like
You
that would
shot
have
him
made
in
me
the
feel
shoulder.
and he was like, and even later on in the movie, he's like, I wasn't trying to kill your son. I was trying to kill you.
Yeah,
And you're like, well, then you
did a
really
terrible
messed
job.
up.
Yeah, I thought you were like you're supposed to be this high-end criminal mastermind, and you just kind of suck. Honestly, it's a normal carousel. It's not like the teacups at fucking Disney World flying around. He could have made that headshot pretty easily. Any train just anyway, we're moving on. Years later, John Travolta's completely messed up from this scene, and now you find out that John Travolta is an FBI agent or counterterrorism agent, I think. I
Who
don't.
knows what the fuck he is?
Yeah, because
Who
they
knows?
said it because he makes mention that they don't work for the FBI, but the FBI gets involved later. So you don't know. He's some sort of
You don't know.
government agent with tracking down terrorists, and Nick Cage is the biggest terrorist of them all, and he wants revenge for his son. Plot over, everybody. That's it.
That's it.
That's
There you
the
go.
setup. So now you
That's
know.
the heavy lifting.
That's it.
Done.
So in the first 5 minutes of this movie, we got everything we need to know. We know that Nick Cage is a trained assassin, high-end terrorist, and John Travolta is an FBI agent looking at and trying to go after him. And he's obsessing over it because there's scenes where he goes home and his wife's like, "Where have you been?" All this, blah, blah, blah. He's been working and sleeping in his office. He will not stop until he catches Nick Cage, which his name is what, Troy Castor or Castor Troy, something stupid like that. Like, why is his name Castor? And John Travolta's character's name is Sean.
Two opposite ends of the spectrum.
The names just didn't kind of fit these characters. I don't know. I never get into like names like that. I never like really care that much, but for some reason this rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, we kind of get that kind of back and forth. We kind of get some like scenes establishing John Travolta's like ruptured home life due to his son's passing. His wife is a doctor, right? That which comes into play later on. Then we get this big scene with Nick Cage dressed as a priest. And this is kind of where the movie starts to really unravel into the absurd. So he's dressed as a priest so he can get access into this convention center in Los Angeles, I think. And there's like a ceremony or something, and all these nuns or worshipers, whatever. It's like a Catholic mass in there in this convention center, which I don't know why. It's just in the middle of it. And he's dressed as a priest so he can kind of go undercover, and you see him basically setting up a bomb in some area of this convention center. And he comes out, and you would think if you're undercover, you want to try to draw very little attention to yourself, especially if you're like, let's say that this way. He is a very well-known terrorist and like #1 in the FBI's most wanted list, right? So he comes through and starts screaming and like grabbing this girl's ass who looks underage.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, for sure.
And
there's lots of that stuff going on in this movie. Just gonna go ahead and warn y'all now. And if you so choose to watch this after our little time together, you've been warned.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that kind of stuff. Really weird.
He starts screaming and drawing a lot of attention to himself, which to me, I'm like, okay, so he's not smart. And everyone in the choir is just kind of like looking at him, and he's like screaming hallelujah. It's the first chance we get to see the acting style of Nick Cage here. He is full Nick Cage in this movie. He is absolutely off the rails. And that's by design. Because when he came into set, John Woo said, "I want you to be as operatic and insane as possible." And so he got to ad-lib a lot of these lines, and he amplified it for John Woo. So this is this is not a Nick Cage thing as much as it's a directorial choice to make him this insane. And
which again is something I want to point out to everybody that's not a Nick Cage fan is like, I don't think you all realize that like acting performances on film, a lot of it comes down to directorial choices and editing. So literally fuck yourself up a tree all the time. If you're only thinking Nicolas Cage sucks, literally fuck yourself. You have no idea what it's like to be represented one way. I've done films before where like my best shot, I'm like, fucking nailed it. God, that was so good. And they don't even use it in the final cut. And you're just like, oh, well, cool. I guess I'll just use this other one because to the director's vision, it works better to have this the other cut in there. So all these things about in this movie, when we talk about Nick Cage doing this, that, and the other, he does a good job doing what he's asked to do and trying to make it believable for everybody else. And that's the hill I'm dying on with this one.
Yeah. The choice here is not bad. I understand that we're trying to make this dude insane, and I think there's a level to it. It just goes a little too far. There's a difference between being an insane, unhinged criminal, which is what they want, but it goes too far where it's like, okay, he's just stupid, and he's doing things that are counterintuitive to what he's trying to pull off. That's kind of what we get with this character, and it goes back and forth. There are some scenes we're getting to that are going to be really well done where I believe he's insane, and I'm like, oh shit, like this dude is capable of anything, you know? And we just
But
haven't
then
got,
there's
yeah,
no, we haven't gotten to those areas yet. But then, because like he doesn't do a good enough job writing this character so that it's omnipresent. There are times when you get lulled into like, oh, it's whatever, and then you're like, oh no shit, he's fucking for real insane. And that's one of my problems with this character, not of Nick Cage playing him, but of this character.
yeah. And so we move along here. We talked about this like with what Armageddon and Con Air, where the
Yes.
editing is so snappy here. Derek, Jamie, if you're out there in Listen Land, we're gonna ask
Friends
you.
of the podcast.
Friends of the podcast. Yeah, Jamie,
Jamie
come on to
Flanagan.
the show. Jamie Flanagan
Jamie,
show.
we need you on the show.
Derek's been on multiple times now. We need you to be on the show. This is your invite.
And tell us what you would do if you had to edit this film the way John Woo wanted it edited. I need to know.
In detail. So we're going to tag you in this clip, and I need every bit of detail on what you would do and how you would kill yourself.
And in detailed ways you would do so. It's insane how heavily. I mean, like obviously you don't really notice editing until you like are in it and you see it. It's pretty egregious sometimes, but this one kind of takes the cake. The editing's really weird. It makes a cohesive vision, but it's weird.
Yeah, moving along too. It's so like we said, it's so snappy. It's very Armageddon. It's very Con Air, and that's kind of like the '90s movie tropes here. '90s action movies. They want it to be snappy and fast, but we get our first like head-to-head scene where Castor Troy, which is Nicolas Cage's character, is meeting up with his brother, and he talks about planning the bomb. He's being crazy, and they get on this plane, and he's flying somewhere, I can't remember where, out of the country, whatever. So he's flying away, and he's on the plane, and there's this like flight attendant there that he makes a lot of very sexually charged gestures towards, and then starts making out with her, and it turns out she's an FBI agent. and the FBI like surrounds the plane, and this is where we get John Travolta's character driving, I guess like what was it, like a Humvee or something on the tarmac?
It was one of the original Hummers that came out. You never guess who bought the first Hummer in the United States. You'll never guess.
Jay Leno?
Action star. No, Action star. I think he was one of them, yeah, but the first one.
I don't know.
Don't think too hard. You're on the right track with Action star.
Was it Arnold?
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense, too. I love some Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, but...
Love some Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
We should do one soon. Maybe we'll do Predator.
We'll do Predator.
So he's driving along, and they're just, like, following this plane, and Nick Cage takes the FBI agent on the plane. He takes her hostage, basically holds a gun to the pilot, tells him to fly. And at one point, John Travolta... in this whole pursuit, they're pursuing this plane that takes forever for it to get off the tarmac. This is like that plane should have been in the air and on its way to Miami by now. But it's still on the runway. And he opens the door, pulls the FBI agent that he has hostage, and shoots her and throws her off the plane and onto the tarmac, and the Humvee that John Travolta is driving or somebody's driving just runs over her, and it's a brutal ass death, and it causes everyone to stop. Everyone stops what they're doing. Like all the cars stop. There's a helicopter following. It just lands, and it's like, why did y'all stop? Like,
for real.
This is someone you have to have. You know, casualties be damned. They're gonna
happen. So you're gonna like, are you just gonna? I guess we're trying to go for a little bit of dramatic effect, but like, still to your point, like even with that, like we understand that this guy's important. He's got a bomb somewhere. Like we got to get him.
Yeah, and they don't know about the bomb too. In this movie, literally, if Osama bin Laden was on that plane, sorry about your life for the FBI agent, but we got to continue on. But the helicopter lands, and then fucking John Travolta jumps on the helicopter and starts flying it, and they've like terminated pursuit. Which still, I'm like, why did y'all terminate pursuit? This isn't just like a standard car chase on like I-85. This is like
There's other things you can do. You can shoot the engines. You can shoot the wheels.
They do
you can
none
take
of
out
that.
Like none of that. It's just kind of like, oh well, it's in a plane. He's impervious to everything.
And Nick Cage is like threatening the pilot. He's like, take off. And then John Travolta drives the helicopter into like the wing of the plane, damaging the plane to where it can't. I guess he damaged one of the jet engines, or I don't know exactly what it was, and somehow didn't damage the helicopter. This is over the top action, guys. He damages it to where the plane can't take off, and then that causes Nick Cage to just shoot the pilot, and because of reasons. And now they're kind of like locked into this like standoff. And what happens next, Kyle?
So they crash into the warehouse in this hangar, and a whole gun battle ensues. And a trope that comes up a lot in this movie starts right here, in which there are just unlimited magazines. Nobody ever had in this world. John Woo has an aversion to magazine changes. You don't see one magazine change in the entire movie. And it's just kind of like, especially if you're a dude from the fucking 90s, and we grew up with these movies getting more and more realistic. There's like the Bourne Ultimatum, and then like going through Saving Private Ryan, and going through like True Detective, and like just like movies that like series that are like very realistic. It's just hard to watch now. Like it's a lot of action too, but that trope of like spray, brrr, and then like they even mention at one point Nick Cage is just killing everybody in the FBI team, and they capture his little brother. The FBI team does, and it's just John Travolta and Nick Cage, and they are pointing the guns at each other. And they're like, I know you only have one bullet. I know you only have one bullet. Wow, you're really good at counting. And then Nick Cage tries to shoot him, and his gun clicks empty. That's the only time we reference like the realism of that moment, and it just falls flat in its face because it's so flippant, and it just disregards everything that we all know.
I want to point out too that there is a reference to the Yakuza in Japan. There's these gold-plated guns, which is a very Asian influence kind of thing. Nick Cage has dual-wielding pistols too that are gold-plated. And I think there's a dragon on the handle, and I think that's supposed to represent something, but I couldn't find out exactly what it was.
It's a reference to like that, but also like the Latin American drug lords and cartel leaders all have like, it's a very criminal, like underworld kind of thing. And they're beautiful pistols. I think they're two 1911s that are just
gold-plated, but yet they're automatic. I don't know if you noticed that. Like at one time they go full auto, and and there's only like a couple of scenes of that, and I was like, that is not.
Well, I think it's hard. I'm on the fence. I don't know if it was those or if there's a certain kind of Beretta that they use that I think it's called a Raffica or something. It's an Italian word for it, and that one's like a 3-round burst, and that's essentially just a Glock switch for you youngins out there. Like, but even
piece of shit pistol too.
Yeah, not very good. But it looks really cool. And it's just like, I can't tell if that 1911, if it's like something different or not. It doesn't matter because it just looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of this just looks cool.
Right. And dual wielding is a big part of a John Woo movie. And so Nick Cage gets to dual wield these two gold plated pistols. And I just remember them being semi-automatic. And then all of a sudden they just went fully automatic and they went back to semi-automatic. So I was like, this is where the consistency is. This movie, that's my biggest issue right now, is the consistency. It's like, if you want to be just completely over the top, let's just be completely over the top. Let's not try to like roundabout. And he tries to do that a couple of times with this film where he tries to bring you back into this dramatic world. And it's not. It's over the top action. But as you said, they get to this point too where Nick Cage is out of ammo and John Travolta's pretty much got him cornered, and he's like starts begging off. And then what happens next?
So this is I don't know what kind of warehouse they're in, Chase, but they're in some kind of fucking warehouse where there's just an active like testing going on for a turbine engine or a turbofan engine. And they have a whole combat sequence around the turbofan engine. and something or another happens this way or that way, and Nick Cage, like John Travolta, knows that he's in the right spot. He goes over and flips a couple switches that he would totally just know how to do, being just a lowly FBI agent, have nothing to do with like aviation whatsoever. Knows the right levers to push, buttons to press. A turbine engine turns on, and then our friend Nick Cage gets sucked to the back, or not sucked to the back, but pushed to the back of this fence and knocked down conscious. We think he might be dead, but he's actually knocked unconscious.
I'm assuming at that speed, maybe you would be dead if your head hit hard enough.
I don't know.
But
maybe, yeah.
To me, this scene I did not mind because I was like, it does leave a good enough, like, well, it just depends. It depends on how you hit. So I thought that was clever in taking out Castor without like killing him, because in theory you would want to kill him probably in this situation, but they were able to take him out without like really knowing, because he could have like massive internal injuries and die, or they could get that taken. Applauding here for a little bit of realism in a situation that probably isn't very realistic, but
in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
like, I'll go ahead and put my disagree on this, because like I just don't. I just, even with willing suspension disbelief, like I don't know, dude. Like there's no warehouse there. I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but there are no warehouses like that on a deserted airstrip that are just like meant for. They're just there to test out fucking engines. And then, so, like, if you walked up to that thing, would you know what buttons to push?
Hell no. I
okay, no, exactly. So that's my point. So no. And if this was the only instance of that in this movie, I'd be okay with it. But it's not by any means. And that's kind of where I start to get a little like, starting to get pissed off.
Yeah. So Nick Cage is now taken into custody, and this is where we get John Travolta going back home, and his wife's pissed at him because he didn't answer the phone when she called earlier. And again, that they're kind of not telling you too much here. They're just referencing that they have a strained marriage because of the death of their child and the fact that he spends all day, every day chasing after this criminal. Well, he tells her that he's got him, and they both get very emotional. I want you to pick up on this, and I know why they were doing this, but it made no sense at all, because you're married to a lovely woman. I don't know how she deals with you, but
me either.
Do you go and paintbrush your wife in the face?
Let me go try it real quick to see what she does.
Yeah.
Hold on, everybody. Pause. Let me go find my wife. Hold on, I'm going to try it on her real quick. She didn't like it.
She hated it?
She hated it. She backed up and went and shook her head side to side. She absolutely hated it. So no, it's definitely not a fun thing to do to somebody.
Yeah. And he's doing it lovingly, and like he does it constantly to her. And what they're trying to do is establish what's coming up later, and you can they're telegraphing it from a mile away that, oh, I think when they switch faces, he's not going to paintbrush his wife, and she's going to know something's up. But I think she would just enjoy that more, because, like, who does that? Who does that? That's something you do to piss somebody off. It's called face washing. You do it in the NHL when you're trying to start a fight. Like, you don't do that to your wife and your significant other, your husband, whoever. Whoever out there. Don't paintbrush people. It's not fun. No one likes it. It's annoying.
No one likes it. It's a dumb thing, and it's just kind of like a...
Erica confirmed it for us today. That no one likes it.
She hated it.
Yeah, she's packing a bag right now, everyone. She's packing a bag to leave Kyle, and you know what? Probably deserved if you paintbrushed her.
No, she has to stay with me. She wouldn't know what to do. Nobody put up with her shit.
So right now they have we're moving on right now. So they have Nick Cage's brother in custody, and this is where things kind of get a little, like, they're already weird, but they get stranger. So they find out that there's a bomb somewhere. They're trying to investigate this and interrogate his brother. Pollux, I think, is his name.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah.
But they're trying to interrogate him, and he's like, I won't do anything till I see my brother, because he doesn't know the extent of Nick Cage's injuries. So what they do is they're trying to figure it out, and they're like, oh, it could be a bluff. And John Travolta's like, I know him very well. There's a bomb somewhere. We got to figure out where it is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's plenty of interrogation tactics out there, and we won't get into
Yeah.
them all. We won't do this. What is their bright idea, Kyle? What is their bright
They
idea?
just try to, they just bring in everybody that's associated with him, and they just like either beat the shit out of them or put a gun up against their head, and they're like, all right, I'll tell you, get up, man, I'll tell you. It's the dumbest, like that. First of all, that doesn't work ever. Like, and also, your dad was a cop, Chase. How many times can you go into an interview room with your weapon on you and then point it at somebody's face with your gun barrel in their eye?
It's very much a movie thing in this, like where, yeah, and they're not even like getting good answers, and all the criminals are just like, yeah, fuck off, we're not telling you anything, and so we get this kind of like, perplexing thing where they're like, there's a bomb out there and it's gonna kill thousands of people, and we got to figure out where it
Mm-hmm.
is, and his brother won't talk unless he sees his brother. The best idea that they have is like, oh, why don't y'all switch faces for a while?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Let's do
it,
that.
everybody. That is it.
And it's such a, this is the thing, like this is where it starts delving into like, is this fucking, is it sci-fi, like what the fuck are we watching? Because that's their bright idea, like Chase said. And then Chase, where do they, I'll chime back in, but where do they head off to next?
This hospital, this like I guess like FBI, like I don't know. It's like it looks
Who
like a
knows?
regular hospital. There's no security, so we'll get to that later too. And so they show up, and there's Castor Troy, Nicolas Cage, in this like coma. This doctor walks in and tells him, yeah, we can swap your faces and no one will know the difference using this like model cast. We'll rip his face off, put it on this cast, and we'll rip your face off, and we'll somehow laser down his face on yours and take your face and put it in this tank, and we'll do some minor surgery to your body to make it look like his body. We're going to do this all in 12 hours, and you'll be perfectly fine and walk away like looking just
And by
like
the
him.
way, it's reversible.
It's reversible.
Okay.
It's reversible.
All
All
this
this is
reversible, all this trauma that we're doing is reversible.
reversible.
And they're using equipment that A, doesn't exist now, and B,
Will
definitely didn't
never
exist then,
exist.
and C, is probably not ever going to exist. And it's top secret, and this is what they're using it for. Not for like printing new, like, organs for people, or a new heart, or rebuilding muscle, or helping with, like, this is essentially like stem cells on steroids. Like, this is like, none of
This
that.
is
Let's just use
cancer
it for,
curing. This is like
yeah,
huge.
exactly.
This is like
That's my point.
this is like if Jesus came back and
Uh-huh.
and religion was real. Like that would be the level of discovery that this is. And
Yeah.
they're using it to swap the face of a mastermind criminal with an FBI agent, so the FBI agent can go to prison, talk to his brother, and find out where this bomb is, because they're really bad at interrogation. Is
Mm-hmm.
that is the
Terrible.
that is the plot line, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're still with us. I really hope you are.
Because then now they're good. It's getting to the point where they. It's just, this movie's just tough, y'all. Like they're in surgery. John, I'm only going to go over this briefly because we got a lot to cover. But they're in surgery, and the way that they do this, they take the face off. How do they do it, Chase?
It's like, don't they laser his face off or something like
No,
that?
they use like a fucking scalpel, cut his face off. Use this
Which
fucking
would
like,
scar, and
it would scar. Oh, for sure. Yeah, and also that's not how you that's not how you skin something. Like, it's almost like they go, I'm going to draw a pencil line around your face, and then I'm going to cut that, and then I'll just take your face from your nose and just suction it off. That's not how that works. You have to get underneath all of that, skin underneath all of it. It doesn't just pull off like a fucking banana peel. Like, it's a whole thing. And then they put it on this fucking like glass face print,
it
and they
looks.
put it in some kind of water solution.
It's
And
like a
I'm like,
mold. It's like a clear
yeah.
plastic mold that's like huge. It's bigger than the face itself.
Again, this is what we're working with. It's kind of tough. It's not very fun.
At least
Yeah,
not this
but
early in the movie. Like
no,
I will say, there's brighter times ahead for this film, but the first like 30 minutes, you're just kind of like, what? And
yes,
they're and all this is flying by. Like, they're just kind of telling you things, and you're like having to accept it. We talk
hmm
about suspending disbelief on this show. We're suspending a lot.
yeah, we've suspended a lot already, and there's a
And
lot left to
and
go.
Andrew loves to suspend disbelief and just give everything over to, suspend
Hmm
disbelief, suspend disbelief, suspend disbelief. And I was like, I only have so much of that bullshit meter I can take before I get pissed
hmm
off. And this is exceeding it in 30 minutes. But anyway, he talks to his wife and he says he needs another assignment. She thought he was retired and done. Now she's pissed off again, like, oh, he's going back out in the field, and he can't tell her why. He can't. There's only a few people that know he's going through this procedure. Why? I don't know. I don't know why you have to hold this back from a lot of people instead of just. There's three people basically: the doctor that does the surgery and a couple of FBI agents. So, and it's classified and documents hidden everywhere. But anyway, he goes through the procedure, and he ends up in prison. Obviously, you can tell the difference. He's not acting as crazy as Nicolas
No.
Cage is, but he ends up in prison and he gets into a fight to kind of prove himself. That's him trying to prove that he is Castor Troy. So he has to play this character. It's kind of well done in this point where there's some tension there on like, oh, will this work? Will it not? The guards in the prison don't know that
No,
he's
they have
fake.
no clue.
So, which is dumb. You would tell the guards. You would tell the prison
Yeah.
warden. You wouldn't just let him hang out to dry. But they do. This is
hmm
super classified. This is like Green Berets in Costa Rica, wherever they're
hmm
at. So he does eventually get the information he needs from the brother, and the brother just believes it. And I want to stop here and talk about Nick Cage and John Travolta spent several months watching each other's films and mannerisms and studying each other. So at this point in the movie, what you're about to see is basically John Travolta doing his best Nick Cage and Nick Cage doing his best John
hmm
Travolta. And I
Yeah.
will say, I don't really think John Travolta did that well. I thought he did okay. Nick Cage doing John Travolta was pretty good. I
Pretty
thought
good.
I thought he did an amazing John Travolta, or
hmm
at least pretending to do the mannerisms and everything,
hmm
and the way the
Let
cadence
me,
of talk.
yeah, let me say this though. I think he did a good job playing John Travolta's character than John Travolta. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Like,
yes, yes,
I
yes.
think that he did an outstanding job just making us believe that he was the other character. At the end of the day, that's really all we need to do with this movie. We just need to believe that, like, okay, I the audience member, believe that John Travolta is Nick Cage, Nick Cage is John Travolta. I think, like, to your point, like, it's essentially just an impression off, but like Nick Cage kind of gets to the bottom of it pretty quick, and it's well done on his part.
And John Travolta does a good job. I don't think he does a bad job, but his job is a little bit easier because all he's got to do is just take his character and just like literally go amplified and operatic. That's a lot easier than what Nick Cage was trying to do. Nick Cage was trying to be more
hmm
subtle, and I think the two actors here put in a good performance. I thought the performances here, especially now, because this is a really challenging role at right now at this point. It wasn't before; it is now. Because
hmm
what happens now is Nick Cage wakes up from his coma with no face
Yep.
on. So, and he wakes up in this coma, and what does he do? There's no one around. There's no security,
Nobody
no
around.
nurses, no doctors. This dude is in a coma with no face.
Huge oversight. Like, was he in
Huge.
a, did they put him in a medically induced coma and they just got his meds wrong, or did he wake up from the coma because it was a natural
He
coma?
wasn't
So
handcuffed
many
down. He
questions.
wasn't handcuffed
Nothing.
down. Nothing. This is a criminal mastermind again that you have taken his face off and put him in a coma and part of this top secret thing, and you just left him alone. He gets up out of the bed, starts screaming. He does a good performance here, and
Yep.
and calls people. He just goes over to the phone and calls some
Yep.
cronies who come into the hospital, take the doctor hostage, and take two FBI agents hostage. Which were they asleep at the wheel? Where were they? Where were?
Yeah,
And they get
exactly.
taken hostage pretty quickly. And Nick Cage watches some video on the surgery that happened earlier and finds out why he has no face. And they briefly show him without a face, and it's not the best practical effects. It doesn't look like
No,
anything.
it's why they have it. It's like a reflection of him, and it's probably for a reason.
Yeah, they probably couldn't get the effects down, which that would have been a hard thing to pull off because this movie is R-rated. I'm sure they were trying not to get an NC-17 rating at the time, but basically forces the doctor to redo his face and swap it with John Travolta. And this makes no sense too. When you put him unconscious, right? Why wouldn't the FBI agents then just make their move? I guess you had the other two. He only called two cronies. I feel like you could have outwitted them somehow. But you put him under and do the whole surgery for him, I guess thinking he's going to spare your life. And then what does he do, Kyle? He burns the whole fucking hospital down.
Well, he burns the hospital down by burning them alive. He pours gasoline over them and just fucking tortures them.
Not only just them, but the evidence that the face swap happened. So now no one knows, which stupid plot point, because like we said, you would tell a lot of people that this happened so more agents know. But to be fair, it adds an incredible amount of tension to this movie because I literally was watching this and Nicolas Cage gets called we're going to have to work on this now. So John Travolta's character, faced as Nicolas Cage, gets called up into prison into like the investigation room, and he sees himself walk through the door, and he's like, "Oh shit!" And basically, Nick Cage's character, we're gonna have to use the character names. Castor Troy tells Sean, "Hey, I know what happened. Now we're flopped, and I'm gonna go be you, and I'm gonna go bang your wife."
Yep.
While you rot in prison.
I'm going to literally get off on doing things that I know you're good at, but I'm going to do them instead.
Yes, and it's
really fucked up.
And I'm going to bang your daughter too. And then he says this is where I'm like, okay, this is what we needed for him to be like, oh shit, this dude's a sicko. That's all you need. You don't need him screaming at the top of his lungs, grabbing people's asses. That doesn't do anything for me. But him mentioning, I'm going to bang your wife while you rot in prison, that's pretty fucking cruel.
Fucked up.
Yeah, so it's you're like, oh shit.
Good idea. It's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's a nice theme. It's a good idea.
And he's like, and I burned all evidence, so no one knows it's you, and they'll never believe.
I killed everybody attached to this. Nobody knows about it. It's just me.
Oh, and also the folks at home too. I know you're thinking the voice thing. They swap voices too with a voice box. It makes no sense. I didn't even want to mention it. It was so stupid. Yeah, but they both have swapped voices. And you would think that you would be able to come out of that anytime you want. Anyway, moving on. So now we get to, I think, the better part of the movie. We kind of cut through a lot of the bullshit, and now Nick Cage, let's just put it this way: Sean in Nick Cage's body has to figure out a way to get out of prison, and Nick Cage in Sean's body. He's still kind of a lunatic, so people are thinking something's off with him, but he knows where the bomb is, so he just goes and disarms the bomb by putting the code in. He tells the bomb directors to get out of the way, and they leave, and once they leave, he just puts the code in and disarms it, so he becomes a hero cop, and he's living in that hero cop world, and he's being very sexualized with John Travolta's wife, and even his daughter, if you want to talk about that scene real quick. It was very unsettling.
Yeah, it's just, I don't need to say too much about it for you for the people listening to kind of get an idea of how messed up it is. It's pretty on the nose, Chase.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to say it without saying what you just said. He does that. And he really goes for it. And he's trying to make himself seem really hey, I'm cool now. Things have changed. I'm cool. And you don't have to Papa's got a brand new bag kind of thing. And it's yeah, it's still creepy though. I don't know. But something that I really thought about while watching this movie, I know we talked about this yesterday, Chase, was I really think that this would be a very well done remake. If it was somebody took it seriously enough to make it realistic, I definitely see a world in which this could be a realistic story.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of unsettling things that could happen with something like this, with the themes that are going on. because his whole idea is like, I want to destroy his life. I hate him, and I'm going to do it by destroying his family. And we've already talked about the mother, but the daughter, he just like walks into the room and he just kind of like gives it the up down. Really creepy, really disgusting. And
He puts his like nose on the nape of her neck, and like
mm-hmm,
you think he's about to kiss her, and he just grabs a cigarette from her that
yeah,
she's trying to hide, and he's like, "Don't tell mom," and walks away.
uh-huh.
It, but it's so believable because, like I said, this dude's supposed to be the most evil type of person, and it has no bounds and no like good in them. This is something they would do. They would try to like sexually assault someone else's daughter, and as it's just fucked up because he is her dad. He's not her dad, but he is, you know. So it is a messed up scene, but it's a very powerful scene in making you hate this character. Like I hated this character at this point,
Yeah, yeah.
so the middle of this movie is the best part to me. Once you kind of get through all the like, what did Andrew say, like suspension of disbelief part of it to the nth degree at the beginning, and you get to this middle part, like things start kind of settling down and start moving a little bit in a good direction. And then we get a scene like this where, you know, long story short, Sean's trying to break out of maximum security so he can figure out a way to like tell the world this is not him and save his family, his legacy, his life. And all he does is he starts basically a huge fight with the police asking for a cigarette in maximum
Mm-hmm.
security, and they beat the shit out of him, but he's able to get a cigarette.
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
this is where I have a lot of trouble. So
Yeah, yeah.
instead
I knew
of
you were gonna
just
have
like
trouble with this
throwing
one.
him into maximum security or
Into
into
like
the
into
hole,
like solitary. Yeah.
yeah, they take him to get his mind lobotomized like instantly. Like that's and
Which is not a thing that like essentially it's like a more advanced form of like electroshock therapy. So there's a lot of things in this movie that like the technology just doesn't exist,
yeah.
and we're just supposed to we don't know what the correlation is or like what it's supposed to
Well,
mean, and it makes it hard to watch the movie because we don't have a real life like equivalent to that.
right,
So what is actually happening?
and you have this like strange like futuristic technology, and then you're going back to something that they haven't done since like the 50s. And so like that kind of throws you off. It's like, okay, you have this like high end technology where you can face swap people, but you can't rehabilitate criminals. Which why would you want to put money into that? Who you know when billionaires can make more money? But
Yeah.
they take him in and they like set him down, and he's like, anything you want to say? And he's like, yeah, I just want a light for the cigarette. And they start laughing and they light his cigarette, which isn't
Mm-hmm.
something you wouldn't do as a security
No,
officer or in
you would
maximum
never have that in
security.
there in the first place.
Right. And they throw another criminal on the ground, and somebody that he got into a fight with earlier, the guy that he got into a fight with earlier, they throw him on the ground and remove him from the chair. Don't put him in handcuffs or escort him out. They just throw him on the ground. And Sean tells the guy on the ground, hey, I'm sorry for this, that, and the other. I'm sorry I had sex with your wife or whatever, because he finds out that's what
Yep.
Castor Troy did. And then he proceeds to burn the security guard next to him's arm with a cigarette, which would hurt, but it wouldn't cause you to throw your gun in the air and completely fall on your ass like a complete moron. And then the guy gets up off the ground and starts beating the security officers, and that's basically how they escape.
Yeah.
It
That's
causes
it.
a mass riot. He's able to open cells, and at one point, one of the security guards shoots the guy that helped him, kills him, but Sean is able to escape prison through a huge riot. It doesn't show him escaping. It shows him in the cells, and he's able to just run out the exit door, which also would not happen if you had a riot like that. They would shut down
Everything would be shut down.
everything would be shut down. No matter what happens inside, if no matter how many security guards die, the people that run the gates and the openings are in a bulletproof glass chamber. They would have shut everything down, and you wouldn't have been able to escape. You know, so that was also hard for me to get over too.
Yeah.
But he's able to just
I thought you were gonna have a hard time with that scene just because of your I'm sure the stories your father's told you about stuff and just like that. It's just not how things work, and it doesn't make any sense. Even if we suspend your disbelief, it's like why? Okay, so they're just gonna let him walk out, and so okay, so he just gets away. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I guess that's
he went through the emergency exit and the fire escape,
yeah.
and he just walks out. They don't really chase after him, but now Sean's out in the world and he's got to try to put a plan together. So his first step is he goes to Castor's criminal hideout, and keep in mind Sean studied
Hmm.
this man, so he knows all these people.
Yeah.
He knows the right answers, which is a clever touch. Like I see
Hmm.
again, we're going back and forth. The clever touch here is that Sean has studied Castor Troy so much that he knows how to answer every question. He knows everything about him. So he's able to infiltrate this hideout, and they think it's him. They give him the golden guns and chiclets. I don't know if you
Hmm.
noticed it. Like they keep giving him chiclets. Like that's I don't know what that's
We
a.
don't ever see him shoot chicklets though.
Yeah, he just gets a box of chiclets, and they like, here's your case, and it's like they'll open it up. It's like a fake passport, the two gold-plated Berettas or 1911s, whatever they are,
Hmm.
and like a bunch of like cash, and then just a box of chiclets. And I guess
Yeah.
that's just a funny like, hey, he loves chiclets, and it's like,
But
whatever.
again,
He
we don't. But again, it's like it's not well thought out because you don't actually ever see him use it. It doesn't tie into anything. It's just like, oh, that looks nice.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
yeah.
great, that's
Funny.
awesome.
Funny.
Cool,
Chiclets. He likes
cool, cool.
chiclets.
Yeah.
This tough man loves chiclets. Whatever. To kind of speed this along, he's talking to the criminals. He's like, I want to capture Sean, and they're like, yeah, capture him. He puts you in prison. Like, so they're believing this. He's like, I want to take his face off. They're like, what? And he's like,
Hmm.
I want to remove his face. Which all this was
Yeah.
improvised by Nick Cage. That's why you get the actors' reactions that you do.
Face
They didn't know,
off.
so that's why they were like, "You want to what? Excuse me?"
They
Like, and
also like slip him drugs at this point too. They don't slip him drugs. He willingly takes it because he knows
yeah,
he's going to give up himself if he doesn't,
right.
which is interesting.
It's like, was he do like a bump of cocaine? They give him some
Yeah.
alcohol, and I think they
Yep.
give him some speed or something.
Something like that. Some kind of like mind
Upper,
altering this, that, or the other. Yep.
yeah. And
Upper
so,
downer.
and he's kind of freaking out because he doesn't do drugs, so he's trying to go back and forth and play it cool. And there's one point where he meets up with a girl in the room,
Hmm.
and it's like a mistress of Castor Troy,
Yep. But it's
and
also like, yeah, she's got a lot going on.
she does.
She's tough.
And she's like, well, I didn't give you up because they were going to take my son from me. And you
Hmm.
can see this is a very complex scene and also a great scene, because
It is a good scene.
he's going back and forth, and he's starting to realize she's got her demons, but she's not a bad person. Like he
No.
tossed, like Sean had tossed her in with Castor Troy as being a piece of
Yep.
shit. But she's like, I got my son. I'm just doing everything to get my son enough money to get my son
Hmm.
out of here and start a new life away from this. And
Yes, and
it's
this really like hits John Travolta pretty hard at this point, or yeah, or Sean, I guess, who's now somebody different. It's now like this is now a different feel. Like he's like, oh, these are real people, and like you said, Chase, like they're just not. They're more complex than I originally had thought. And I don't know if he feels bad about it. Probably not, but like definitely tugging on his heartstrings a little bit. And this will come up later on in the movie too.
yeah. And the son comes in, and she like introduces his son and tells him, by the way, he's yours.
Hmm.
And John Travolta, Sean, who lost his son, is
Yep.
starting to like feel very remorseful. And he
Hmm.
like looks at the kid, and he's like, the kid eerily looks like his son, blonde
Yep. A
headed,
lot like
like.
him. Yep.
So we're getting an opportunity now for him to save his like a redemption story, basically, to save his son. And you can tell he's changing, and he's like, and at this point, after this long like meeting and like them talking, the FBI shows up with Castor Troy
Uh-huh.
dressed as Sean, and then again the inconsistency here, Kyle. The
Yeah.
inconsistency here. So what do? What does the FBI agents do? They just stand outside and just
And
unload
just
every
unleash. I'm
rounds
glad you
after
said that.
round.
That was something that was really start. I mean, like again, a lot about this movie pissed me off. Not like Batman and Robin, but getting pretty close. And this is one of them. Like in no way, shape, or form would law enforcement ever just sit outside unless it's Ruby Ridge or like Waco and just unload.
Yeah.
Like they've learned their lessons. They're not gonna fucking do that.
Yeah, and
So like
even in
wrong.
Waco, it was like, how many days did it take? They just
Oh, a lot.
and it
It was
was
a
like,
standoff.
and it was supposed to be, and they keep like looking at the camera, and it's like, oh, it's Castor Troy is doing all this. I was like, I don't care if Castor Troy has infiltrated the FBI. The
Yeah,
FBI
it's
still
just
has
not something they're gonna
standards.
do.
They're not just going to
Exactly.
listen to him, and if they did, they would arrest him. But they're just this big standoff happens, and it's not even a standoff; it's a big gun battle. And the
It
FBI is
is.
like, "Let's just get on the roof and let's rappel down into this like skyline, and just get
Mm-hmm.
shot." So there's bodies just dropping
You,
left and right, and the criminals are trying to hold off the FBI. Sean has now taken the kid, and he's like protecting the kid through this whole gun battle. And the
yep.
guy that's helping him the most is trying to save him and whatnot.
It's one of
And
the guys in the beginning that he is like looking for Castor, and he puts the gun up against his head, and he's like, "Yo, tell me everything I want to know." And he like tells him, but like you can tell he's like I hate cops, and they're going at it, and he's a just kind of like what would you call him, Chase? Lawful evil, or just lawful, or
yeah,
like evil neutral, or whatever.
kind of like he's kind of like the real mastermind. He low key plans everything, but he's low key and he's not like his energy like kind of matches the energy in front of him. He's not absolute batshit insane. Kind of like a
No,
he's not evil or anything. He's just doing it for like the money in the underground world. But there's
do it
one
for the love of the
point.
game.
But we do get this one. So, like, we go from bad scene to good scene to bad scene to good scene, which I hate the inconsistency here. So now we get a good scene because after all this, Sean was protecting the kid, right? And he's trying to get the kid out of there, which plays into like him like understanding these criminals now. And you see Castor Troy come in and shoot his best friend in the neck, proving to everybody that's like he has no remorse and he will do whatever he needs to maintain
Whatever he
his.
needs to.
And I was like, that was a great scene because this dude
Mm-hmm.
has helped him out. You would think he would like try not to kill him, but he kills him point blank, and he didn't have to. It was just those two in a gun battle, and he shot him in the neck.
Yep.
And
Pretty brutal way to go.
pretty brutal way to go. We get a face off, no pun intended, and this is the best shot of the movie. So it's Castor Troy and Sean as each other. They're on the other side of this mirror with guns. And Castor Troy's like, you're ugly. I don't want to be you. Your wife kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Like, let's just swap back. And he just wants his body and his face back. And he's like, no. Which also, they killed the doctor too that did this,
Yep.
right?
So that's
So
I'm like, yeah.
why would you kill
We'll get
the
into
doctor?
some more of that later too. It's kind
Yeah.
of annoying bullshit, but
So
whatever.
we talk about this stylized movie. There's metaphors and everything he does, but like we don't have time to kind of get into all this. But the coolest part is that like he just goes, "Okay, well, let's just kill each other then." And they both just turn and stare at the mirror and they're looking at each other, but they're looking
Yeah.
at the opposite. So they're looking at themselves but looking at the opposite in the mirror. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's cool. Like that was a really cool
There's
shot.
a lot of stuff going on there. Like, are you killing? They're both the other person, but in order to become yourself, do you have to let go of who you are?
Right.
And like, there's a whole bunch of different ways you could go, avenues you could go with this one.
And
And
then
like, just like them shooting through is like letting go and like,
also with hate,
um,
they're looking
mhm,
at no matter what they see the person that they hate the most in the
mhm.
mirror, and they start shooting. It's actually an amazing scene. Like, if there's one thing you catch in this entire movie, I'm sure that you can go to YouTube and look up that clip of the gun battle in the hideout. But it's a really well done scene, and I applauded that. I gave it a point because I was like, in an action film, this was a really well done
Interesting.
shot.
Interesting. It's interesting to me that you give it a point.
I'm not saying how many points it's at right now. I'm just saying I give it a point. But after that, they escape, and I can't remember what happens next, other than I think we get a point where Sean's wife is starting to suspect something's up with him because he's
Hmm.
acting very strange. And there's a
Yeah.
scene, a weird scene where he gets aggressive with her. Castor Troy gets aggressive with her, saying, "I read your diary,"
Yeah.
and I was
I
like,
shouldn't
"What?"
have, but I did it anyways.
I was like,
But this
"What?"
is before, this happens after Nick Cage like calls her, stalks her at the hospital, comes and finds her, has this whole moment with her, which is acted brilliantly. And she like obviously is very more than shaken up and traumatized that he's trying to hug her, and it's him, but it's actually Castor's face. And she's like, "You killed my son." He's like, "No, no, no, I'm not him. I'm different. You don't believe me. You're never going to believe nothing I'm going to say. You're going to believe me. Just know this. I know that Sean's blood type is O. and Caster's is AB. And she kind of thinks about it. And then this is where we get to that point that you're talking about, where he's at the home, like, I read your diary, did this, that, and the other. And she's like, oh, that's weird. Kind of remembering what he had said to her in the hospital, and is now thinking, oh, maybe I should test this out. So she pinpricks him, goes to the lab, and what did it turn up as, Chase?
Yep. Turns out that she confirmed the blood type between the two, which I was like, how do you know how do you know one Castor's blood type?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like
Weird.
you may know your husband's blood type because you're a doctor. I can assume you'd probably know that, but I mean, I don't even know my own blood type.
I don't know either. That's not something I think unless you go to like the military or like a doc. Like I don't think it's something that you're really gonna know. We should all probably know, but I don't think we all know.
Right. And but to me that was like one of those weird things where I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like and again, as a doctor, I can understand her knowing her family's blood type. I totally get that. Like that's not unbelievable to me, but you just believe him that this is your.
Yeah.
So I guess her knowing his blood type and seeing it different, I don't know, but they could also have the same blood type. I don't know. Like I don't know what the possibilities are for that. I am not a doctor.
I think if he knew beforehand, just because he knew him so well, I buy it. This is not the least believable part of this whole movie. I thought this was pretty clever. And again, I'm going to spoil this right now, but like, you'll find out when I give my rating for this movie and my holds up or not, that like, I think that this is something that this is a movie that could be remade really well, really, really well. And that's one of the moments in it that I think would be crucial to have in the story because otherwise, how would you know? You wouldn't know. You would be like, I don't believe you, but like something weird is going on, but that's outlandish. You know what I mean, Chase?
Yeah. I mean, it's not the worst, but it is kind of, it's also confusing that like so much of their bodies have changed and like the only thing that stayed the same was their blood type,
Yep.
Because John Travolta has a scar from the gunshot wound. You think they would just keep that, and he could have been like, "Here."
There's a whole moment. There's a whole moment with that. He says, "Remember at the beginning, he's like, can you please
bring this back? It means
Yeah.
something to me. Bring the scar back." And they're like, "Sure, yeah, I guess." But why wouldn't you just keep the scar? Like, I mean, at what point?
Because he's worried about like it's like going undercover. You don't want to have. You want to make sure everything like matches what it needs to be.
Right.
Otherwise, you could get got. You could get found out and could get got.
This is where all the tension sets up. There's a scene too. I'm just going to mention it briefly, where John Travolta's daughter, Sean's daughter, we mentioned her earlier. She's kind of acting out because of her dad's never home.
That's right. Yes,
it's the typical kind of like teenage daughter, rebellious. She's dressed in black, and she's got a boyfriend sneaking around, or at least a guy sneaking around. And there's one point where Castor Troy sees that and gives her a butterfly knife and says, if he does anything, you stick this in his leg and you turn it so the wound won't close, which is pretty sadistic.
So it's like the way that he was telling her also is like near your femoral artery. I think on the inside of the leg is what he said. Yeah. And you just bleed to death. It's also one of those knives that like is curved, like a serpentine, I think is what they call it. And those are, you can't close those up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those are really tough. Also, I'm really glad you brought up that butterfly scene because that was the most anticlimactic drawing of a butterfly knife I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's going to dock an entire point for this movie for being like, it's supposed to be stylized and cool and this and that. Like, when you take a butterfly knife out like that.
And put it in slow motion too. Put it in slow motion.
I know that might sound stupid, but like just watch the scene and watch that. And for all the stylized bullshit that this movie has, like, really? Like that's what we're going for? Okay, cool. Interesting. Okay.
So we're getting to the climax here where what happens next, Kyle? So like they're kind of getting into this, they're kind of getting into a face-off, no pun intended, and I think they end up in a church somehow, and I can't remember how.
They end up in a church, and this is where like they're like Castor's goons kill off all of Sean's goons, and it's just the two of them.
Before that even happens, they get into this huge face-off, and they're like shit talking each other, and then the doves are like flying, because we gotta have a dove, John Woo, like.
So there's pigeons and there's doves, and it's just too much.
There's a
There's
there's a
no need.
so there's a lot of symbolism here, and I'll just like briefly like kind of talk about a little bit of it. So you have symbolism of redemption, life over death, good versus evil, a lot of good versus evil because we're in a church. So that's kind of all that's in this scene, and you can go watch it on YouTube again and pick it out for yourself if you want to. It's just a lot to try to go over. But the doves are flying in the church. I don't know. There's no ceremony going on or anything. So why would there be doves in the church? Doves don't just live in a church.
No.
And they blow this church to hell and back. No pun intended there either. And that's when basically Castor Troy kills the mistress, shoots her. She falls on Sean and says, "Take care of my boy," before she dies on him.
Yep.
And Castor Troy escapes while that happens.
And he escapes to, I believe, this is where
a dock.
A boat.
Yeah, he's trying to get a boat to get out of there, and Sean pursues. And without going blow by blow on this, we get this massive ass boat scene where they're fighting on this speedboat. There's scenes where they're crashing into other boats, they're ramping up, they're jumping in and off of the same boat onto other boats and back into the boat. There's one scene where Sean is dangling from the side of the boat on a chain, and it's just speeding along. It's wild. It is crazy, all the stuff in this scene, and it's all practical. They just put They put two stuntmen out there. It's elaborate, and they said it was the most elaborate stunt at that point in time ever committed on film. With the amount of stuff that they were doing, and you look at it.
I don't know about. I would push back hard on that because I still think Thunderball is the most crazy.
Yeah.
So I would push back hard on that, but like whatever you say, John Woo.
Yeah. They this is just from the Film Society, but it may be more expensive. I don't know. I mean, Thunderball probably does.
Maybe more dangerous. I don't know.
I don't.
Like,
yeah,
I push back hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's very dangerous. Regardless of what you want to put as a top, this would be in there as a discussion. Like you could make a discussion. This is very dangerous. What these stuntmen are doing is insane, and at one point, they just crash the boat. The boat goes about 40 feet in the air. They go about 50 feet in the air and land on dry land. They should be dead. We skipped a whole scene, too. I want to backpedal, too, because we almost forgot to mention at the end of the church while he was running away, Castor Troy grabbed Sean's daughter, and she was able to stab him in the leg.
That's right.
With a butterfly knife and turn it right before this whole boat scene happens, which if she stabbed him correctly, he should have bled out. But anyway, I just wanted to make mention of that because we mentioned the butterfly knife earlier. But like I said, there's so much happening we almost forgot. And the boat flies in the air, and Sean and Castor Troy go about 50 feet in the air and land on dry land. Both should be dead or at least have broken limbs.
I don't see how you get up from that.
No.
I really don't.
No, that's a 40-foot fall on, and we're not talking about like sand. We're talking about like shoreline sand where it's very heavy and hard.
Probably concrete underneath.
Yeah, because it's at a boat dock. There's people around. So there's at the very least, you're going to have internal injuries or broken ribs. You wouldn't get up from that. But they get up and continue to fight, and they kind of go back and forth. And there's one point where Sean's able to get the spear gun that fell out of the boat. And he goes to fire it, and like an idiot, he keeps getting closer and closer. This is a ranged weapon, Kyle.
Why would you get close with it? Because they can, exactly why you're saying. What happens is he gets too close, and Castor just puts his hand on the rubber part of the mechanism so that it stops it actually firing.
Yeah, like it's a ranged
I don't know enough
weapon.
about it to know if that would actually, like, if you'd have enough force to stop it, because it's a lot of force. But like either way, bullshit.
I feel like it is true because I know you can kind of do that with a bow, like a compound bow. If you hit it right, you can grab the arrow. You may like get bruised or whatnot, but I think you can stop the mechanism. But in this case, if you let go, it's just gonna rebound back, and that's kind of what happens. He ends up basically getting his hand off the gun, and he shoots him. and and Sean keeps yelling die, 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 which I started laughing hysterically. I was like, we could have
Yeah,
cut that line. We didn't
could have
need.
cut that. And then there's also a line where he, going off of that, where he's also going like "fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you, and fuck you," and like it's just egregious and dumb.
Very operatic, not very good. And then at that point, we're at the ending here. They're able to just magically replace Sean's face and his whole body
Yep,
with no doctor.
back
That
normal. They're
just
flying in a specialist from DC. Oh my god, I didn't know I was a specialist to this
the
one-off surgery with a surgeon. This novel surgery was replicable, so that's cool.
yeah with
Really completely
the
destroys
surgeon.
that whole.
Well, and two, like the big qualm I have with that is okay. Well, one, the surgeon that invented the surgery is dead, and all of his information on how to do the surgery, like his forms, his like research, all that is been burnt. How this guy just was able up for the challenge, but
That's what I'm saying.
and
Like
it
he
goes
must have really just wanted a
perfectly.
challenge.
It goes perfectly. Sean walks in completely restored to his wife. She's excited to see him, and he had the scar removed. He said, "I didn't need to bring it back. I'm done with that." So he's moved on from his past, and he's moved on in a big way because now he's adopted the son of the mistress. So the
Yeah.
son that he
Mm-hmm.
saved in the shootout, and that's how this movie ends. Is now they are a happy family. His face is back on, and he's adopted a son. That's Face Off, everybody.
That's face off.
I hope you're all with us. I hope you didn't doze off while we were describing Face Off. But Kyle, starting with you, you remember bits and pieces of this movie as a kid. What do you think about it as an adult? Or you've given us some information. So if you want to just tell me a brief rundown of how you felt watching this.
Yeah, I'll keep it really brief. It is a good idea on paper. That's it. That's all I got for you.
That's solid. Yeah, I remember as a kid this being really absurd, and when I saw John Woo's name pop up in that director's box, I was like, I'm in for it. I don't think it was bad. It sounds like we hated on it a lot. I agree with you. I think it's better on paper, and parts of it really hit. I thought parts of it was entertaining. I didn't turn away from it. Some of it frustrating, but I still watched it. I wouldn't put it in like anywhere near the Batman and Robin category, or Master of Disguise is still the worst we've seen. I know you missed that episode. I would watch this movie 40 times over before I ever touch Master of Disguise again. But I do remember it being absurd, and it lived up to the hype of being absurd. It is a 90s film. It's got the 90s color palettes, the 90s action style. It is Nick Cage at Nick Cage's best. If you love Nick Cage being absurd, then I think you'll get something out of this film. There's something there, but it's just not. The pieces don't fit together. It's inconsistent. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which I do enjoy, and it wants you to suspend disbelief. It's just hard for me to suspend that much disbelief for me to be like, oh, this is a great film, you know.
Correct.
But I guess the magical question is, do you think it holds up though?
It's tough. The idea holds up. The shots hold up, for sure. It's a well shot movie. Like some of the like it's engaging, but I wouldn't watch this movie again. And I can't give it a holds up. I want to because I like Nick Cage, and I don't think this is one of his more hateful movies when it comes to like the script and what he was asked to do. But I mean, it is really it's tough, dude. It's really tough. Like just the action sequences alone, the amount of times they spent on the ground, like they would purposefully get down on the ground in like a prone position where they can't move and just unload two dual wielded like pistols. And I'm like, that just doesn't. It's just fucking dumb. Why would
Yeah.
you ever do that? You know, like I understand it's stylized and cool. Like do it on a slide, which they do plenty of in this movie. But the whole like laying prone on your back looking up, shooting at somebody, and that's your first move. It's just dumb. And that was one thing I couldn't really. I was having a hard time with the entire movie. Just some of like the pick a lane. Like, is it sci-fi? Is it action? Is it some kind of fantastical, like fever dream? Because that's more what it felt like. It just doesn't pick a lane. And then also like you said very aptly, like we've suspended all the disbelief we can suspend. I'm disbelieved out on this movie. Like it just was getting tough near the end. So that's it does not hold up.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with you, but I am going to say it holds up, and I'm going to bring a different reason into this. Again, I agree with you. I think this is a movie that's good enough to be like remade or remastered or reimagined, I guess would be a better term for this.
Yeah.
I thought there was enough like entertainment quality to it where I was like, okay, I'm entertained. I know that this is 80s action. I know it's not taking itself seriously. I know like all this other stuff. I do want a little bit more realism to ground me in the reality that they were trying to build, but I did enjoy my time with it. It probably didn't sound like it while we were talking about the episode, but I wasn't overwhelmingly like, oh, this holds up. This is more or less like in a certain situation, I can see someone putting this on and enjoying it. And especially if you have nostalgia for this film, I do think it's probably going to hit a little harder. My biggest thing is this movie influenced The Matrix. And it also influenced Max Payne, the video game series. And I don't know if that's because of its face-off or because of John Woo's style, but I do have to take that into consideration because, I mean, The Matrix is one of the best sci-fi films of all time, regardless of what you feel about it. It is up there. And then Max Payne was an incredible video game series that kind of revolutionized video games, especially action and adventure games. That kind of gives me a level for being like, oh, it holds up a little bit. I mean, I'm not in the huge hold up camp, but I think it does. I think I've said in the past, this holds up to things that I wouldn't watch again, and I kind of would watch this again for the fun of it. This is more or less like a film. You get a bunch of millennials in a room, you turn it on, you guys drink some beers to it and have a few good laughs and just mock at how absurd it is. I think that's the peak of where this movie is. It's not something I'm going to watch by myself again or something I'm going to put on and just kind of enjoy. It's probably going to be in a group setting where more people can like chime in on it and talk during the movie because you don't really need to pay attention. But what would you give it IMDb rating wise?
4.8.
4.8? Okay.
Yep.
I was going to go a little higher, and I'm thinking...
I bet. Can I guess yours?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to guess 6.3.
No, not that high. I think I was going to go 5.9. I don't know if it's good enough to kind of get in the sixes, but that I don't know, 5.9.
That's fair.
5.9, that kind of area. Do you want to take a guess what it actually is?
On IMDb?
Yeah.
7.4.
Ooh, nice. It's 7.3.
Okay, yeah.
Which
I had a feeling it was going to be something kind of up there, but like very well received.
It is a very well received movie. Like I said, it didn't hit me the same way, but again, I don't have any nostalgia to the film other than being around it when it came out. We're just kind of here. I think 5.9 is fair. I think if someone told me 6, like you said 6.3, I would be like, okay, that's fair too. I don't think anything above that would be.
No, I don't see how this is a C movie, you know.
Well, also, I do have some more bad news for you, though.
Ah.
Andrew's back on the show next week.
Oh, fuck. Oh. It was fun for a while, I guess, but
yeah,
we just can't ask. We're not gonna be able to ask him too many questions about the incident, so he's gonna be tough.
He's gonna be happy-go-lucky to be out of prison.
Yeah, he will be.
But
you know,
that's right, everybody. Andrew's back on the show this weekend, and he got to pick the movie, and he picked Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Kyle, are you excited about that one?
No.
I remember a lot about this one, so this is going to be a fun episode. So, you know what we do around here? We dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out. We found out that Face Off is a 50-50, so maybe you should watch it and find out for yourself if it actually holds up. Kyle says no, I say yes, so we're kind of split dead even on this one. Please follow us on social media and look forward to seeing you next Thursday as we review Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.